I'm Rene Ritchie, and I'm a tech analyst.
I'm Georgia Dowd, I'm a psychotherapist.
And welcome to Apple Talk, where technology and psychology smash together like bullet time in the Matrix, and you got parts of Keanu here and Carrie Ann there, and Agent Smiths everywhere.
That's probably more exciting than the show really is.
Well,
I like that.
I was watching that Unreal 5 demo, which I made you sit through.
That was great.
Could you tell which was real Keanu and which was simulated Keanu?
With a little bit of movement, the mouth, and a little bit of the pupils, the eyes, that's a little bit off.
What about Carrie Ann?
She looked pretty good.
Yeah, but was it her or was it Unreal Carrie Ann?
It was a little bit of both.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It was well done, though.
As much as I think Tim Epic is a fiendish demon in search of re-enslaving the world's app economy and making the metaverse from a creator economy into yet another gatekeeper, he makes good pixels.
He did a good job.
Well, they hired, I think, every good renderer in the planet to go work for them. Got almost a monopoly on gaming engines. But it was really good. And are you interested in the new Matrix?
I think it's going to be a train wreck.
Like actually there'll be a train wreck where bullet time and everything.
Yes, that, and it will be like watching one at the same time. But
you're usually the optimist among us. You usually have the most tolerance for movies. You have very low standards, and
I like every movie that comes out, and I want to watch it many, many times.
Yes, these are all lies. You sit on the throne of lies and you stink of meat and cheese.
Yes.
All right, so we'll see. We'll see if we
agreed to stinking like meat and cheese. That's never a good thing.
Well, I mean, it's the holidays, Elf.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Hence my over-the-top hairdo, which I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna have fun with it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, trash me in the comments.
Why would they trash me in the comments? Smiling is our favorite, and we have festive affogatos. I don't know if people know what affogatos is because we don't have them in Montreal. Like, there's no place that actually serves them at regular parts of a menu.
Are they even real?
Yeah, I get them in California all the time. Well, back before the world started ending, in the early times, I used to get them in California all the time, and it's basically just like a scoop of good quality vanilla ice cream with and a couple shots of espresso poured over it.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah, so you get the cold of the ice cream with the hot of the espresso, the sweetness of the ice cream with the bitterness. Well, it's not really bitter, but it's like it's got that coffee
pungent-y.
Like punch you in the morning, wake up face.
Right.
Like you get both those things together, so it's a very Song of Fire and Ice dance thing.
Right.
Yes.
Game of Thrones.
Yes, I'm a fan. Game of Thrones in a cup. Very nice. So we actually have things to talk about today.
We do.
Yeah, we're not just vamping for the sake of runtime.
Right.
So do you want to do the holiday stuff first or the social media stuff first?
Let's do social media and end with holiday.
All right, so I just got to double check his name. I know it's Boz, but I forget. Andrew Bosworth.
Is that the guy from Charlie's Angels?
No, well, maybe, because it depends if it was the a-hole version nobody liked or the traditional version everybody liked. Boz. I don't know. Anyways, so he was on Axios, which is on HBO. I believe he was on with Ina Fried, who's amazing. And there's been this back and forth over Facebook and their institutional belief that they bear no culpability or responsibility for the platform that they have created.
You see, but that's why I found this so refreshing, is that he took a lot of responsibility, and I found him to be really socially conscious about what he felt on Facebook.
You just can't stop lying today. Like it's just like one lie.
I figure if I'm not already on the naughty list of Santa Claus, I figure I might as well go for it now.
No, it's all naughty. It's just Georgia Dow all the way down. But here's the thing: it's like traditionally they're better at hiding it. Like Mark Zuckerberg will wrap himself in First Amendment claims, or he'll talk like it's a violation of the Uncle Ben principle of with great power comes great responsibility. They want all the power, but they want no responsibility.
Yes.
And he just said
responsibility costs them money.
He literally said that Facebook is not to blame for the proliferation of COVID denial and anti-vax and all of these other conspiracy theories.
He pretty much said that no matter what someone wants to say, they should have their platform and use Facebook to say it.
Yes. But regardless of the consequences.
Yes.
Now, I don't think the world would be a better place without Facebook. That was one of the charges, too. I think Facebook is just a tool, and tools can be used for good or for bad.
Would the world be a better place without Facebook? Just one moment. Let me think. It wouldn't be a worse place.
So I would argue the technology itself is not the issue. It's the lack of responsibility and governance of Facebook that's the issue.
As Facebook is now, does it cause more? What good has Facebook done? Is just what I'm asking, compared to how many
It
deaths.
lets people in
possibly.
England invite me to barbecues that there's no chance that I could actually attend.
Right.
And it lets me see people in high school who I have no affinity or a relationship with. What's the best parts of what's going on in their life, so I can feel inferior by comparison.
If Facebook is shouting fire in a
Yes.
crowded building where people get trampled and die.
It's not their fault. They're not to blame.
Okay.
They're not to blame.
But it would more be like someone's shouting fire and using the megaphone that is Facebook to reach everyone.
The thing is, so first we have to recognize that America is unique amongst countries in that they have a First Amendment which says that the government shall not make any laws that abridge the freedom of expression, where in most other countries the government believes it's their responsibility to make laws that abridge the freedom of expression. Like in many other countries, you have hate speech rules.
Yes.
And there in almost every country, including America, you have slander and libel laws because you can't really just say anything. Well, you can. You're allowed to say it, but there are consequences for you saying it.
Yes. So inciting violence is
Yes.
usually that litmus of you're not allowed to incite people to have them kill others. But this is misinformation possibly of scientific data.
Yes.
And so even that kind of falls beneath that as a legal standpoint.
Yeah, and there is some responsibility for using your powers for good. Like famously, Tim Cook has said that Apple will never make a technology that can be used to kill or hurt people. And other companies are like, we'll make AI for your drones. We'll like companies that may not be named but may have been involved with Facebook and other of their partnerships have happily created technologies that could be used for or weaponized by law enforcement and the military. So there's you have a choice about how your technology gets used.
Yes.
Yes. Now he also said that by curbing the freedom of speech on Facebook, we will be destroying democracy, which kind of feels like the opposite of how Facebook has been weaponized by anti-democracy, pro-authoritarian forces worldwide for the last decade.
Well, it seems that Facebook says whatever benefits Facebook,
Yes.
right? So if they go to a place where they want to make money and it's non-democratic, they're fine to do business there. It's not like they're standing on the laurels of democracy.
So they did a little genocide. I mean, it's not the fault of Facebook.
Right.
And
Right.
what a miserable, I was vomiting in my brainstem when I was watching this. I didn't think it'd be possible for me to have less respect for the executives at Facebook than after I heard this whole, what us worry
Right.
of responsibility dodge.
Right. Yeah, it's a difficult thing though, right? Because it's the megaphone. It is not what is being said on it. They just use this as the megaphone. And I think that it is a very important debate of one, how do you police it? Two, who are the people that are going to police this? And three, what will be the rules and consequences? Because let's just say it, no company is going to care if there are no consequences for that. If there's just a stop sign that says please stop and there will be no fine if I stop or don't stop. I'm rolling through every single stop sign. Not saying I do that already. I'm rolling through every single stop sign, and if it only catches me one in every 50th stop sign that I would theoretically roll through, then am I going to even listen because the consequences are so rarely applied?
Yeah, well, to me, it feels like what Facebook is doing is, yes, ultimately we all have personal responsibility. I'm a big believer in personal responsibility, but Facebook is they're giving drugs to addicts. They're giving accelerator to arsonists. They're giving miniguns to snipers. They're taking whatever is bad in people, and without any sort of discrimination, they are allowing them to do the maximum amount of damage possible with that malignancy, which is not the job of any platform, really.
I think that what I've been finding myself getting really annoyed with is large companies that do all kinds of damage and then try to shuck the responsibility onto individuals, right? Like the same thing with recycling companies that are like, you should try to recycle, where they don't care what kind of plastics that they use to package all of it. Like large companies saying that, you know what, you should walk instead of take your car, whereas when the world shut down, we noticed that it was 15 companies that are producing about 60 to 80% of the world pollutants, because it was only like a 7 to 20% difference when the world shut down. When none of us were using our cars, there was a very little difference in the amount of CO2 production and gases. And I'm just so sick of companies saying that it's our fault.
Yes.
When truly it's their fault, and
And
they
they
want
convince us
to
it's
feel,
our fault.
Well,
We're so gullible.
they have this money to be able to put a lot of marketing out there, and it's all this smokescreen so that they don't have to lose more money, and they are just gathering a mass of money where we're trying to fight for minimum wage. It seems ridiculous to me. I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm going on a huge tangent
No.
rant, but I find it really frustrating. So him going off and saying, you know what, it's the individual's responsibility, I think that we should do it. You might believe that, but because it is so damn self-serving to him, it still offends me.
Yeah. Well, it's like for a while now, like at first I was semi-jokingly calling them big social tobacco. And that's become sort of like an en vogue statement. Like people, when they were subpoenaed, I think it was Instagram recently, before Congress, that term was used as well. But they're acting like big tobacco. And historically, we've put great limitations on how big tobacco is allowed to advertise, communicate, market, do all those things, including up to the point where
New Zealand.
Yeah, no, but even in the U.S., which I'm using as an example, just because they traditionally have the most freedom of expression possible for many countries. They did outlaw alcohol for a while, and they have outlawed
Did not work, but
drugs.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, like with varying degrees of success, but there are absolute points where we determine that something is detrimental to society, to civilization, and we put a curb on it. And who is to say, certainly not him, that just because Facebook isn't a traditional narcotic, a traditional toxic poison, that it's any less damaging in its pure mental form, or that it should be any less subject to regulation, curbs, or controls.
Yes, well, no company wants to be regulated,
Yes.
right? So they try to come out in front of this so that they can get ahead of the media, because if they say something enough times, we're going to start to believe it. And so because they keep on pushing this, it's not us, it's the people, we're just a megaphone, and anyone should be able to use this megaphone no matter what that might be.
What's the cost?
Because
Yeah.
it benefits them. But the problem is that when you have a person that is speaking for a company talking about the morality of what they are doing or the legality of what they're doing, it's always going to be self-serving. So I think that for Facebook, people are really aware now of how toxic and nihilistic Facebook really is as a company. I think that people still use Instagram because they love it, but I think that part of them, for most people, they are aware that this is not it's not a healthy platform to be on, and most people want to regulate. Like most of the people I see say, yes, I am on Instagram too long.
And the thing that gets me is that even Google has decided to chasten their behavior in the face of backlash and regulation. Like they're much more thoughtful about how YouTube, for example, handles things now than they used to be. They're much more careful. They're putting a lot more things in place for creators, for other people. Google search even is not as aggressive as it used to be. Apple is now doing some right to repair stuff because they're desperately afraid. Like they're making small movements, but they're making movements where Facebook seems to be doing the opposite. They're like, come at us. We're not going to change anything. We're not even going to pretend to change something so that you think your petty attempts to regulate or shame us are going to work. We're going to be even worse.
I think that, yes, regulations, every company shivers in fear at the sound of regulation. And that's why they spend so much money lobbying. Like you can tell what a company believes in depending on what they spend their money on. And so all of the companies, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Meta, they all spend this massive amount of money lobbying and supporting different lawmakers because they want to be able to influence that. So I would say that any company would do that, and I do understand why. The thing with Facebook is that it's just so malignant. The things that they do and what they are willing to do is so brazen and so damaging to our society in general. And I'm happy that people are really aware of, people are a lot more anti-Facebook than they were before. Not so much for Instagram. And a lot of people don't even know that Facebook...
And WhatsApp is like infrastructure for half the world at this point.
Yes. And again, people don't know that either. So I think that the awareness is not out there. But I think that people are really waking up to what are the causes and what are the effects to this. But in the end, we really need it to be regulated. And only when that fear of regulation comes looming are companies going to do anything. If there was not any fear of regulation, Apple would not, I believe, Apple would not be going into the right to repair. They would not be allowing this. They want to get ahead of it in hopes that then they don't get regulated, which could very well be. And so they end up with a good deal of control still over people being able to repair or not and make a good, nice amount of profit.
And the part of this that I think we have to be acutely aware of, keenly aware of, is it's not just the big blue app of Facebook, which everyone's parents and grandparents use, and it's not just Instagram, and it's not just WhatsApp. It's that Facebook is vying for control of the next big platform. When VR and virtual reality and augmented reality hit, Facebook wants to be the helmet on your head. They want, and like again, they lied about keeping the Oculus login, which would be separate from your Facebook login. They just said they're never going to do it, and then they did it. And if this behavior is not curbed now, as bad as they are in the browser and as bad as they are in the app, they are going to be infinitely worse when they are controlling, defining, and delineating our entire experience.
Yes.
Like right on our faces.
So do you think that though, will stop people from purchasing the next Oculus?
No, I don't think. Like I even bought one. Like I wasn't going to. I had the original Oculus, the one, and I still log in with my Oculus account because they didn't force it on that one. And I said I wasn't going to buy one, but now that Apple is rumored to be coming out with their mixed reality headset this year, well, sorry, not 2022. It feels like 2022 already. I wanted something that was more consumer focused to compare with. So I said, what the hell? It's not that. And then this guy just goes and takes a crap on the internet, and it's like, sucker. This time blame me.
Yeah,
Fool me 800 times. Blame myself.
Right.
All right. Well, anyways, let us know what you think. Like, is Facebook approaching the line for you? Are they at the line? Have they long since passed the line? Are there going to be actual consequences in terms of your behavior and how you use Facebook? Let us know. Super curious. And let us know before you get involved with your family in the holidays and all the tech and all the requirements that go with it. Because it's so much, Georgia. So much. Especially now, because a lot of people haven't seen their families for months and months and months. I mean, maybe they saw them over Thanksgiving, but this is going to be the first holiday since when? Since 2019 Christmas, that people are going to have like something even approaching a normal holiday season.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. If you've been sequestered or not around a lot of people, to suddenly be, have all of these people descending upon you.
I'm not used to it anymore. I've been in a 10-foot box alone, like almost completely isolated for like, what is it, 16, no, more than that, 18 months, 20 months?
Yes. Yes. So for some people, this might be a wonderful thing because they need more people and to be around people. And for other people, this is terrifying and it's exhaustive and they're going to be forced to be able to interact with people they may not want to interact with.
But I'm sure I have post-COVID stress disorder. Like I'm 100% sure.
You very well could. I think that a lot of people, like people when I go to work even, like secretaries and people that are workers and like everyone is feeling this, not everyone, many people are feeling this sense of having to reintegrate and being forced into it. It's so heavy.
Like for me, I feel like, like the dwarf or the Olgo in the fantasy book where he leaves the mountain for the first time and he looks up and he's terrified because the ceiling never ends.
Yes.
It's like I'm not used to space anymore.
Yes. When I do diving and you dive deep enough so you dive deep enough so there is no top of the water and there is no bottom of the water. You're just floating in never-ending water. It's a weird feeling the first time.
That's how I feel going outside now.
I can fully understand. Yes, I can fully understand. You've been inside.
Because I've been to the grocery store like once every 2 weeks, and that's about it.
Right.
Yeah. That's about it. Yeah. And also, like as much as everybody wishes it, the pandemic's not over. We have Omicron now. It's uncertain. Like it looks like it's not quite as contagious, but it looks like it's contagious, but the symptoms aren't as bad. And that if you've got 2 doses, or you've already had COVID, you might still be in trouble. If you've had a booster, you might be. There's a lot of unknowns around that. And because we're all so frustrated, we've all been isolated and masked for so long. Like we're running through the streets naked now, and it's not safe. But like you feel like yelling freedom, like.
Well, I also think that the social constraints of how are other people going to react? Is someone going to yell at you for wearing a mask? Someone that's not masking is not going to wearing a mask. When do you do it? I cough, and even if I'm doing it through a Zoom call, I feel guilty, and then I have to say,
they're going to think I'm sick.
I don't have COVID.
Yeah.
If someone has a fever, you know, if I touch my nose, like the world has changed. It's a
Yes.
really weird experience, and interacting with people is no longer this innocuous thing where you just see people. Like I'm
Yeah, you used to
happy
hug
see
each other and you
people.
were in crowd. Like even watching TV shows from before the world ended, and you
Yes.
see all these people in the crowds, and you're like, it's not safe. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, it's in the
yeah,
past.
Yeah, but it was so funny because I see people that are in the crowd and they're dancing and everyone's sweating on each other.
Yeah.
And spitting on each other because they're dancing. And when I first saw it, I'm like, this is so cool. Like the Blade scene where the blood, like, I'm like, this is so cool. That's still really cool. But like now I see all the people, they're sweating, and I'm like, oh God, everyone's going to be sick.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be sick.
And you're like, no, because it's 1984. That didn't happen back then.
Well, we
but-
still got sick. I don't
Yeah.
get sick anymore. I
that's
used
true.
to get sick.
I used to get
all
sick
the
like
time.
3, 4 times a year. I haven't
I
been sick in
know.
2 years.
No.
Yeah, because I've been away from other filthy humans. I mean,
Yep.
So
Yeah.
now, but also because these 2 years weren't just COVID, they were a lot. There was enormous political divide. There was enormous socioeconomic actions, and all around the world too, not just focused in North America, though it seems to us like everything happens in North America. There have been fires. There's been like literally like one disaster after another, and everybody that we see might be in a very different place than the last time we saw them.
And it's hard to be able to interact with people when you don't know. Like, you're going to have that family member that no matter what you say, they're not listening. They're in their little tiny bubble. And, you know, you want to have the holidays be as pleasant as you can make them. But it becomes difficult, especially when, like, I think that a lot of people want to change other people's minds. Like, one person has an agenda that's completely different from your agenda, and so you're going to go in there hoping to wake someone else up. Rarely does that happen. Usually when you have a disagreement with someone, you're actually going to polarize them even further in their direction, not towards you, even with your arguments being exceptionally good arguments.
Like Uncle Frank is going to insist that these whole last 2 years were the tree aliens making sure that all meat space was evacuated from Earth before they returned. And there's just nothing I can do to tell him that was a plot of the worst M. Night Shyamalan movie. And it's just like, watch the one where he sees dead people instead. Just like upgrade your M. Night Shyamalan-ness. I'm
And
joking, but only a
unicorns.
little bit.
Unicorns.
Yeah. And
But those are
also,
real.
there's 2 years of tech support that are going to be
here we
demanded
go.
of us.
Here we go,
every
Rene.
printer, every motion smooth TV set, every connection they couldn't do, it's going to suddenly be our job as the resident
Well,
techie
that's
to
the
fix.
problem when you buy someone a tech gift, right? So when you buy someone a tech gift, like, because I would feel comfortable to say I don't know how to do that to something I did not purchase. But if I buy someone a gift that is technology, does that change, Rene? Do you then, if you buy someone a HomePod, do you then feel obligated to set up the HomePod because you've bought it for them?
But see, like that, I would probably just set it up as I bought it. And those things are sort of super easy. My nightmare is like when Ancient Auntie or new neighbor goes, oh, you're one of those tech people. Could
Yes.
you just come and help me with my printer? And I have like no idea what anything is. And like, I don't know how any of this stuff works.
So may I ask, why do you say yes to that?
I try not to, but sometimes like, well, we've talked about this before. The
Yes.
girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yes.
When spoilers, but mild ones. At some point, a serial killer says, "I don't need a gun. I just ask people, and their sense of obligation is more powerful than the gun is." And
Yes.
it's really true. Like we have these societal conformities that we've grown up on. We've
don't
been
want
taught.
to
We've been
seem
instructed.
impolite.
Yes, because like. You might get murdered, but at least you weren't impolite.
Yes, because that would be worse,
Yeah.
especially for Canadians.
Like if they think that I'm offensive, like
Yeah,
they,
we don't
they might
like
think
to
I'm a
do-
gullible fool.
We don't like to do that,
Yeah, and now my head is in a jar in their cupboard, but at least I wasn't rude about it.
right?
Yeah, and that's hard, I think, to navigate.
So just say no to that. But I think that it's harder to say no if you've purchased it because they may not know how to do it. You've bought it for them. So also be aware if you purchase something, if they can set it up or
Yeah.
if they can't set it up. And just be comfortable with, you may feel obligated if you've purchased something to actually set it up for them. So do you want to do that?
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the gift. Like if I'm buying it for them and they don't know anything about technology, I
Yeah.
am giving this burden to them, and the least I can do is help them.
And giving this burden to you.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's fair. It's like again,
Yeah.
it's like when it's like a random surprise burden that I had nothing to do with, that I
Yes.
feel, and I have no
Then
knowledge
you might
of.
want to say no.
And also, I tend to buy things that I'm pretty familiar with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like if I buy a HomePod, like I know how a HomePod works, I know how I can plug it in, and I know all that stuff.
Well, the lucky thing is with HomePods, it's also really easy.
Yeah, but like,
barely
if
an
it is-
inconvenience.
super easy, brilliant inconvenience.
I
Ryan George references are tight. But if it is like their Windows 95 printer, like just murder me now. I'd rather take the murder at that point.
I can carefully say I've never set up a printer before in my life. I don't have to. So there we go.
I saw there's
You
this,
can use that even if you have.
there's there's all these different kinds of Twitter, right? Like there's medical Twitter and there's tech Twitter and there's therapist Twitter. And I saw some people on therapist Twitter saying, just remember, the therapist in your family is not your family therapist.
There's therapist Twitter?
Yes.
Why am I not on this Twitter?
Because you don't use Twitter that much.
I don't, but I didn't
No.
even know there was therapist
Yeah,
Twitter.
a bunch of therapists and psychologists and stuff. But like their thing was, just because you have a doctor or
They never
therapist in your
invited me.
family, you're not allowed to just make them responsible for all your healthcare needs during the holidays.
You see, it's interesting because that I don't mind. I feel really comfortable if a family member comes to me with an issue or a question. That doesn't bother me
Careful,
at all.
they're watching.
It doesn't bother me though. It really, I'm happy.
She didn't
to
mean
be able,
you, Victoria.
I'm happy to be able to help because I can use my knowledge. It doesn't cost, like, it stresses me to set up someone's technology, but to be able to give someone some advice, like, I don't know, I do that for free anyways. I enjoy that. So that's different for me.
I guess some people feel imposed upon though, like they live that life
Yes, perhaps.
24/7. Especially the last 2 years have been
Yes,
terrible.
like foot doctors,
the last thing they want.
every person's foot is
Yes.
suddenly, take a look at
it's
this.
It's really the proctologists that have it the worst over the holidays.
Oh,
They get a bum deal
Rene.
every year.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of this.
I don't even want to say anything because I know you're going to say another one.
On that note, if I say...
How did you not put a pun in that one?
I thought puns were over for the year.
I don't know.
I thought I used my... Okay, I'll think about it. I'll make an ass of myself. On that note, if you're watching on Nebula, please stay tuned because we have a bonus segment coming your way, hot, fresh, original content. And if you're not watching us on Nebula, now is the absolute best time to do it because CuriosityStream is having their annual holiday sale. And you can get CuriosityStream, all their series, all their documentaries for, what is it, George? It's like it's 42% off.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's the ultimate answer of percentages off. That's less than $12 a year. That's less than this Christmas cheer in most boutiques that you will shop at this year. And you get access to all of their amazing series and documentaries like The Road to the Singularity, where they explore the advent of artificial intelligence and machine learning and whether we're getting to the point where all of these devices around us are going to be smarter than us and soon. I actually have still seen Siri and I have...
Yeah. Not Siri,
No
but
doubt.
the
Okay,
spell
no-
check
The spell check?
still works for me.
Still don't.
I need that.
And you also, with that, you get full access to all of Nebula. That's all of Georgia's videos, my videos. No ads, no sponsors, sometimes extended versions, sometimes bonus versions. I have a whole iPhone documentary on where you're in it, Marquez Brownlee's in it, Justina Zarek, John Gruber, so many amazing people talking about how the iPhone affected them and their lives. I also had a short up on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Not a short, but it's like 12 minutes long, but like an analysis
Love
of
it.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There's just things that you cannot get on YouTube, all available with CuriosityStream and Nebula. 42% off, less than $12 a year. Just go to curiositystream.com/AppleTalk. It really helps support independent creators directly, and it really helps support this show. That's curiositystream.com/AppleTalk. Thank you so much. And if you're leaving us now, Georgia, where can people find you and your videos?
You can check out youtube.com/Georgia Dow, and my email is georgia@westmounttherapy.com.
And you can find me at youtube.com/Rene Ritchie and twitter.com/Rene Ritchie. And I don't use email. I really don't.
Yeah, don't email him.
No,
He doesn't want you to email him.
I had to use email for so long when I worked at Mobile Nations, and so
Yes.
much email that
Yeah.
now I barely remember that it's there.
Yeah,
It's
don't.
wonderful. It's a wonderful life.
Don't.
Yep. See you soon.